Hey everyone, we're just gonna pick up where we left off and we're gonna look at the panning now that we are done with the basic volume leveling. The important thing to keep in mind here is to pan the orchestral instruments as they are seated in the orchestra. And in this chapter there is like a little image showing you one of the standard ways to place the instruments in the orchestra. So we're going to use that as the foundation for the panning, because I've not done any panning here yet. You can see everything is just placed in the center. That's it. A lot of these samples that I use, which is a lot of East West, for example, the Hollywood Orchestra, those are panned a bit already, but we'll still do a little bit of panning just to place everything nicely from left to right in the stereo spectrum, because this is where you get everything to open up a little bit and you create some separation between the instruments so they're not fighting for space all in the middle. So the first thing I'm going to do is to start with the violins here. So this is the violin 1 spiccato, and the first violins, they are seated to the left of the conductor. So I'm just gonna pan these ones a little bit, maybe 15 or something, nothing too drastic, because you don't want them to sound like this. You don't want it to sound like you're sitting in between the violins. But I want them to like sound like they're coming from a little bit to the left from where you're seated. And the second violins, they are placed a little bit more to the right, like fairly centered but a little bit to the left. And the low strings, they are seated a little bit to the right. I will keep them fairly centered to keep the energy like in the center of the mix, but I might give them a little tilt to the right here. I have 2 tracks doubling, so it doubles out. Maybe I'll take one of them while keeping the most powerful one in the middle. There we go, let's put it together with these violins. And then we have the mids, and they are usually, this is like the violas and stuff, and they are pretty much in the center. If anything, a little bit to the right, but I think I will keep them in the center here to keep a good balance. But it's already opening up a little bit here. So let's head over to the next part, which is going to be, we can start with the brass. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take the French horn, and there are different ways to place it based on how the orchestral setup is, but in this picture we're using the French horns are placed to a little bit to the left. Maybe just a little bit more. And then we have like the trombones and tubas, which are placed like to the back and a little bit to the right. Like the trombones, not too much, maybe like this. The tubas also a little bit. Maybe I'll take these ones in the middle. Actually, maybe I'll take this one a little bit to the left to balance out a little bit so it doesn't become too right heavy for the bass stuff. Alright, let's move on. Let's have a look at the choirs. I like to have them a little bit like in the back of the orchestra. And usually I pan them, the male and the female part of the choir a little bit to each side. So here I'm gonna take the females a bit to the left and the males a bit to the right to get a little nice spread on the choir. And it sounds not too good so far, but we'll get to that. I'm just taking it step by step here now. And the trombones, I'm gonna take them a little bit back here. Alright, let's start looking briefly at the percussion. And here, like, these are not traditional orchestral percussion. So what I like to do when we have elements like this is to keep like the biggest hits and stuff in the center, to keep like the energy centered in the mix. If not, the hits will, if they are to the left, it will lose a bit of its power and it will become too left heavy, for example. So I like to keep like these hits in the center. Same with the booms, and then take the biggest things pretty centered, maybe a little bit to each side, but then the higher elements here, I like to pan those out more to the side. So that's what we're going to do right now. So these ones will go out to the sides a bit more. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Let's just listen to everything as it is right now. So yeah, that's the basics of panning. So to recap, orchestral instruments, try to place them as they are seated in the orchestra, while also keeping in mind how they are already panned originally in the library. So use your ears, don't overdo it because it will sound too spread out and not cohesive enough and connected. So just be careful with the panning, do it subtly, and then you might get some really nice results. And for additional elements, try to keep the heaviest ones in the center while panning smaller elements out to the sides. So that's it for the panning tutorial. In the next video, we're going to start looking at how to use EQ to enhance the mix. I'll see you there.